Okay, this week we're going to progress on our hip mobility and strengthening exercises. We're going to cover two different exercises. The first one we're going to cover is the step up, and then we're going to have a later post where we're going to cover the split squat. Okay, so both single leg strengthening activities. I like to start with the step up, just in case somebody isn't strong enough to hold up their own body weight when they're doing the lunge. Okay, so the step up, I have these handy dandy little boxes that are custom made. So I can make them whatever height I want. And so if I have somebody starting off that has any kind of significant weakness, or they're limited in their hip range of motion, we can start them down low, or we can raise them up. And I like to try to start people off at about 8 inches, because that's the standard height of a step in any commercial or residential building. So that's where I like to start. If we can't, then I start them off a little bit lower. Okay, and so let me have you come up here, Nancy, and we can just show, just put your foot up here like we're going to do the step up. So now, you know, see your femur angle here, whereas if we bring her up to a higher step, go ahead and raise your foot up like we had this taller. There we go. See, so now we get closer to parallel. So again, if somebody's not strong enough to go to parallel, this is where we would want to start. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this up here. All right, so for Nancy, the step up we're going to do, we're going to start off at that 8 inches. So what you want to do is make sure that they have their full foot up on the box. Okay, too often you see people when they do step ups, they just kind of put the forefoot on, they have the heel hanging off, then it becomes a knee-driven exercise as opposed to a hip-driven exercise. And so we want to put the full foot up on here so that Nancy can drive into her heel, and as she's doing that, she wants to think about doing a hip extension, more of this kind of motion as opposed to a straight down motion. Okay, so go ahead and do a few step ups here. Okay, so she's just pushing him at the heel, extending the hip through, doing a glute squeeze as she's coming up. Okay, and now let's come to this side and have you facing that way. And also remember the last, go ahead and do last couple weeks, what we talked about is hip drops or hip hikes, and so this would be something we would want to watch and make sure that she's keeping her hips level as she's doing her step up and not swinging the leg up or dropping the hip down as she's doing this motion. Okay, and again, I like to start them off with their foot on the box, all reps, before I have them alternating back and forth. It's an easier way to count so they can concentrate on their form and their technique and not worry about, oh, am I on number 6 or number 5 or where am I at? Also, when you're alternating, again, if she's got a weak hip, she can come up, go ahead and go right foot up here. Yeah. Okay, and now step up. But now I want you to come down, and when you come back up, I want you to bring your foot down and over-exaggerate your hip lift. Okay, so see how she's rocking her hips to get that up? Okay, so now it's no longer just this leg that's doing the work. She's trying to cheat or compensate for some sort of weakness here. So when you start them off with one foot up, they can focus on that, and they don't have to worry about the step up, step down type motion here. Okay, one of the other issues that you want to watch with people is some people have either some hip flexor weaknesses or they have limited range of motion in their hip. And so what they'll do is that instead of raising the leg up to get on the box, go ahead and do a couple of correct reps here. So she's just lifting her leg, stepping up on the box. Now, let's have you come down, and sometimes with these limitations, you'll see somebody do an over-exaggerated hip hike to get their foot up there. So go ahead and show that. Okay. I'm going to do a couple other reps there so they can see that. Okay. So when they have that weakness in the hip flexors, or again they have some kind of limitation in their hip, they'll compensate by rocking the hips to get their foot up on there. And so in that case, you would want to lower the box down so that they can strengthen the hip flexor, or go back and do some of the hip flexor exercises we've talked about in the last couple of weeks to strengthen that so that they can just now come up in a linear motion as opposed to a side-to-side motion.